Welcome, welcome. Turn on my lights. That'll be a little better. There we go. All right. Close out some of these. Let's go into here. We're actually loading. We're loading the tutorial on here. Okay. It's a loading tutorial. No, we're not actually loading tutorial. Campaign. Let's go ahead and I'm going to just worry about that later. Switch this to the actual tutorial level. Make sure this works. All right. And let me make sure Discord got the invite. Yes, it did. Sweet. All right. Perfect. So we load in. Yeah, loads in. All right, perfect. So. Alright, we got to this map. Let's go ahead and put together a little AI stuff. Alright. So I'm gonna do this in the new ship section. Call this Fleet Commander. So that's what this is gonna sort of do. Let's open up the base ship and specifically this destroyer. All right, so we got our current orders, personality, which this one is broken. This is supposed to be, I think it's because I was editing is this our one? I don't feel like that's correct. No. Maybe. Let's pull up the code. No, it's not these. It's under my helper class. Alright. Yeah, because we have captain traits. Here we go. Okay, so that's just what they call captain traits. Captain. Oops. Captain. Why does it keep losing focus? Alright, there we go. Compile. For now, just none is the default. Alright. see here. So, first, we need to create the actual blueprint for the fleet commander. Just use a actor. This will be AI underscore commander. And call it fleet commander. Alright, and so this is going to have a couple things. So let's add this be base ship and base ship class. Yeah, base ship class. And this is going to be a map. So remember quickly, this one has to be unique to the first but not the second. Oh, that's right. It needs to be class reference, not a actor reference. There we go. Yeah. So let's say if we want 2 brigantines here for the tutorial. Alright. So I'll want to have a custom event. So I guess start commander sequence. Which you want all of them to do all the time, but so when this gets triggered, we're gonna have a couple things. We need to have starting ships, and we need to have an array, probably, which we can just make a array of actual object references. So this will be ships under let's call this fleet. Alright, so once it gets the start commanding sequence, let's do a for each loot, and then do a for each, and actually for loop. And we'll start with 1 to map value, because it has to be at least 1. And then create, it's our spawn actor from class, takes the key. Now spawn transform, we'll probably want to pass that in. We're not going to care about the scale though, so I might still collapse it, just make it easier. So spawn transform, of course our IFF, which by default is going to be foe. I guess we could have, yeah, if we want to make this generic as possible, let's pass in an IFF as well, so that if they're friendly ships, they will just loiter. And then name. So we need to get a reference to our ship names. Which I believe we'll do for now. And the base class is Yeah, we get ref here. And then set ship name, which we won't have to do. Might even be able to disconnect this, but we'll leave it. And yeah, I'll disconnect it for now. So, set ship name. We'll remove that node because we don't need that one actually. So do a sequence. So start off with ship name ref. And create a variable here. Let's see. Alright. So if it's not valid, which I mean, this won't be upon initial, then we do this. If it is valid, we do nothing. Ship names ref. Yeah, because we're only going to ever have one in the level, if there is one at all. Yeah. Then what we want to do is get the ref and convert to a validated get. And then over here, well, should we not care if it's a validated? We should have one on every level, right? Let me double check, make sure there's one here. Yeah, ship names. Okay, cool. So get, and then if I don't, I should have a function. It's like get names. I don't have. So I have that. Oh yeah, I don't have an actual function that returns. Oh no, I got grab ship names, right? Yeah. Oh, but that just grabs it to add it to here if it doesn't already have it. Okay. Which that should be done here. Grab ship names. And then we should have a function here. It's gonna be an actual function. Get ship names available. Make this appear because we want just to return. And we just do return. And then names. Okay. So if we call that here, get ship names available. Yeah, perfect. I would see this is where what I need to do is actually just ask it for a name instead of doing this. What we need to do is, let's see. Yeah, because here I was doing set ship name, if name's blank. Then we do a bit of logic, which this should absolutely be in the ship name thing instead of in here. Yeah, where do I even, am I even calling that set ship name? I think I was calling that in the construct, right? Yeah. So we'll do instead is go here. And then we can ignore this part. So we know that these are not going to have names. Then what we want to do is, let's see. This is the current one, so we'll just drag this. Doot, doot, doot. Then remove this. And go, this is the current index. So we'll create a local variable for. This one comes in here. And then we loop through. Set here, and then create a local variable. Right. Okay, yeah. So if the length is greater than 0, we go find a name and set the name. Yeah. So here we'll just do basically the same thing, but yeah, this should be passing back a single thing, just passing back that local. If it does true, gets here, removes index, and then it goes if name equals blank. It's true, it loops through again. If it's false, then we just want to return the name. And that should work. So now, this should give us get ship names available. Alright, and howdy Ghosty. Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. It's been a long week, but it's been a pretty good week. I'm actually starting a master's degree program pretty soon, so that's pretty exciting, but always everything's been going pretty good. Just working away. How about yourself, man? All right, and then we'll also, I don't think we necessarily have to actually pass the ref now. Now that we move that to the commander, I might still want to ref at some point, but I think I'm going to actually remove it. And then just remove all of this entire function, truly. And then, yep. Let's go back to our construction script. All right, yep, it's now gone. So we don't need any of that on this class anymore. And then we had, here we go, refresh ship name. Yeah, because I was originally clearing out the name. Yeah, I'll get rid of it for now. I'll probably keep the function around in case I ever need it in the future, but go ahead for now. Heck yeah. All right. So, just for a little reference, what I'm working on today is just some of the higher level AI stuff. So I've got a base ship class that can do. It's not very complex yet. It doesn't really have any logic, but it's got a control system and has a setup. So basically, when I was building the components for the player, I built them so they would work for the AI as well. So for example, right now I've got a control, so I could have it, start thrusting when the game starts, but it doesn't actually have any control over that yet. But I'm just building the basic structure for the fleet commander who's gonna, orchestrate. 'Cause my plan is to have this be, I don't know if you know what's called GOAP, goal-oriented action plan, or I forget what GOAP stands for. It's like goal something. Let me see. I can never remember. Let me also, for some reason the music decided to stop and stuff. Carrying on. Whatever, just because it reached the end. All right, there we go. So yeah, so GOAP. Yeah, goal-oriented action planning. Because I think that my plan is, as well, it doesn't necessarily, if I remember correctly, it doesn't necessarily scale very well. Is something that is very useful for the style of game I'm making. Let's see. Yeah, I'm actually in 5.7 right now. I haven't done too much with AI recently. That's partly why I'm working on it today. Just because I took a bit of a break from AI while I was focusing on a lot of my story writing and things like that. I was doing a lot more behind the scenes kind of stuff. So it wasn't very interesting kind of stuff to watch. But yeah, I'll be working on some AI stuff today, probably some behavior trees and things. So absolutely. I can give you my opinion once I've used it a little more today, but that's the plan. All right, so we've got our AI fleet commander. We are spawning our starting ships. And let's actually go to our level here. And let's actually delete these. Or actually, before I delete them, I should probably copy the location of at least one of them. And let's open up our level blueprint. And we'll do this fleet commander starting position. Has to be transforming more accurate, but won't worry about that for now. And then create or spawn actor from class. Delete this old stuff. And this is gonna be our fleet commander. And then, okay, so we spawn this. This one we don't actually care about transform necessarily. I mean, we could make a transform or something, but I think it should be fine just spawning it to 0, 0, 0 because it's just going to be the controller. And then from here, we'll want to call, of course I can't remember off the top of my head what it's called. Start commander sequence. And we'll set this to foe. In fact, ideally, I'd like that to be foe by default because it's mostly going to be used as the enemy ships, but I wanted to leave it open to use as friendly ships if I need to, mostly for story beats. And then we need to create this. So for now, I'm just going to have it spawn a singular ship. So let's paste our... can I just... I swear I can paste this in here. Or will it not let me? Sometimes these things can act funky. Oh, here we go. No, that's closer to what I wanted. Alright, let's remove this. Of course, it's got big old decimals it don't need because of the way. Oh well. Of course, that didn't copy line, but it. Let's just grab these manually at a time. Eventually, I'll make this a little bit more flexible, but yeah. At least for myself, I've had less and less crashes, especially I think 5.6 was a big one for me. 5.6, I saw a lot less crashes than 5.5. And then 5.7, at least so far, I've only had one crash, and that was my own fault. I was doing something really stupid with a for loop intentionally to try and break something. But that's really the only time I've seen a crash so far. And I really love the diagnostic system in 5.7 right now, because like if you look here, I can see like a lot of statistics about like the boot time, the load map time, asset registry scanning, plugin count. You can see the local efficiency. This is how much of your stuff is stored in cache versus stored in slower memory, your available memory on the computer, how much you're using up here, how many objects, stalls, frame rate. And the cool thing is you can look at your stalls and get an idea of like why they stalled. So for example, this one was just when I was booting up the game, so of course it's going to stall. But if I clear this out and start up the game, it'll show me if I have any stalls and like how long they are, and definitely has a lot of cool new features. Thank you. Yeah, the cool thing is 5.7 did the same thing that 5.6 did, where they just upped the performance a little bit. I think it was, I want to say it was something around 10 to 15%, if I remember correctly. And of course, it'll be depending on what you have. It'll be different for each person, but for me, it was about 10 to 15%. So that was pretty exciting. And I really love this console variable editor. It makes it super nice to just be able to turn things on and off. So I can just hit execute and I can see all my stuff, hit it again, it's back off. I can do this if I want memory insights. I can do this if I want timing insights on or off. Super duper handy. All right, so let's hop back into the fleet commander. So for now, I'm just gonna spawn the one ship. So we're gonna pass in that spawn spot. Not worried about the rotation or the scale. Just start and then the map value, yes, I'll show you one. So it should just fire the once, spawn it in, and then we should be good. And just so that I know this from this spawning in, let's do get component, oh, if I can spell today, component by class. Let's get our control component. Control. And just fire off an input here. Set. Let's do, oh, actually, let's set our pitch input. Just have it spin in circles. Currently working on pre-production documentation for product starts. Ooh, nice. Yeah, pre-production stuff can be some of the most fun though, because you get to like do a lot of like brainstorming and just, you know, trying to throw wacky things at the wall and seeing what sticks. That's some of the most fun. Howdy Zombot, welcome. But yeah, I love a good brainstorming session, especially when you got some flexibility in terms of what you can do. It's always fun. All right, so let's look here. So this should, I've got those two ships. Whoops, still there, but yep. Yeah, there we go. Pitch input, which let me delete these other spare ships now that I'm spawning them in. All right, perfect. Yeah, I've noticed when first game starts, everything seems to really go crazy if you're pitching at that moment, but it smooths out. Maybe something where I need to add a very slight delay here for a moment before doing anything. So I'm going to add all the way here at the top. Actually, it's probably going to have happen once the ship spawns in. So let's go ahead and do this. Yeah, so we're going to spawn it in before we do the pitching. Just add a very slight delay. Like, you know, half a second or something, and just see that smoothens it out a little bit. Not that we care, it's just a temporary pitch input. Yeah, there we go. Perfect. Nice. All right. So yeah. So now I've got my AI spawning in. Let's see here. In terms of what I actually want it to do now that's the big question, right? So I've got it spawned in. Now I'm probably going to want to have the fleet commander making decisions. So it's going to need a couple of things. We're probably going to need orders. I'm thinking about, because I believe I have AI orders in enum here that somewhat is handling. Oh, I don't want that to be an array. Whoops. Yeah, so this is giving this. So this is sort of loiter, patrol, chase, formation, retreat, full stop. This is good for specific tactical orders. Yeah, we're probably going to need a tactical level, and then we're going to want a strategic level, right? So the strategic level is going to be, you know, things about like what should these ships be doing, you know, chasing the player or hunting down specific things, versus our tactical orders are going to be a little bit more specific to, you know, what actions help us now. Yeah. So then we're going to want to have probably a strategic orders, which will be a little bit different. Strategic orders, which probably need to make that a separate enum. In fact, I'm just gonna write that up in C++. Just copy one of these. So, for our strategic orders, we'll probably want things a little bit more specific here. Let's see. So our big goals are going to be, so the ships are going to be, there's going to be sort of like hunting. I'll refine probably the names of these to something different later on. But for now, we can just make it something like, so they're going to want to hunt the player. They're going to want to have a sort of resupply strategic order. So it's going to tell the ships, hey, we need to go back to, the base, go back to the station, wherever. We're going to want them to be able to be in sort of resource gathering operations. I guess a better way of putting it, because these are military ships, right? So these are going to need to be providing escort. So we'll say like escort. And then, so we're hunting, resupplying, escorting. Let's think. What else? Let's pull up some source stuff, some documentation. Let's do types of strategic objectives for submarines. Here I have things like deterrence, but that's not really going to be applicable here. Intelligence. Oh, yes. Reconnaissance. Yes, that's a good strategic goal. The AI is going to definitely want to have some reconnaissance missions to search for things, search for players. Let's see. Mind warfare. That's just generally going to be like hunting. Deploying special operations forces. Okay. So maybe boarding operations would be a little bit applicable. Yeah. So the boarding operations are going to be a little less generic. That's probably going to be something that's going to be more focused in, because I'm going to want the player to sort of fight those off, but not of their own ship directly. So this might be something where it's like general actions that the ships do. For now, I think we'll just not have that. We'll leave it here. So hunting, resupplying, escorting, and reconnaissance. So now we have to sort of, figure out how do we get the fleet to decide which one of these to go into. And that's probably going to be a behavior tree. And then from there, once it decides which one it's needing to be doing, then it'll make more tactical decisions. It'll narrow in on what specific tactical decisions it needs to be making. So let's go ahead and go here and let's see. I believe I can just add a behavior tree here, and we'll call this our fleet brain. And then we'll need to create, of course, the actual behavior tree itself, which is under here, right? We'll call this fleet controls. Oh, that's not the right one. I meant not a behavior tree. That would be T. It's a state tree. That's the one I wanted. Contains access to the air controller and actor. I actually don't think I need that part, because this is going to be more of a high level controller that's going to pass that information down. We'll call this fleet. Actually, let's do AI underscore fleet controller. And let's see here. Yeah. I know they've updated this quite a bit actually since the last time I have messed with this. AI fleet commander. And then of course we'll probably want to add some tasks and things. So let's start off with our states, right? So you have a root state, and then we're going to have a state for each one of those settings, right? So basically for each one of the strategic orders, which probably I did make them enums, but this might be more for displaying purposes. So hunt, resupply, escort, reconnaissance. Uh-oh. All right. So we'll have hunt, and then escort, recon, and resupply. Now, in terms of priority, I think we're actually going to say that resupplying is going to be our top priority, followed by probably, well, I guess actually, if we're escorting someone, that's our highest priority, right? We're going to need to protect them. Then it's going to be resupplying, and then hunting if we've already resupplied and we're not escorting. And then maybe recon first. And then if we have a target, then we'll hunt. Let's see. I won't add a tag for now, but that is kind of handy. We're going to give, can we have other colors? I wonder. Default for now. There's probably somewhere I can change that. And add other colors, I bet. Alright. So, do we require an event to enter? Probably not. Oh, you can even weight them now. That's really handy. Let's add a child state. So for escorting, our big focus is on defending ally. So this is sitting nearby. And then we probably want, depending on how many ships we have, we're going to want to have probably a way to go into a sort of offensive defense. So question is what we call that. So you have a state where you're defending the ally, a state where you are clearing. Nope, that would not save what I'm typing. Clearing the path. I don't know if I can not add a random capitalization. There we go. And then, okay, so resupply is going to have return to base. Gather supplies. And then if need be, rest and recuperate R&R. And then recon. This will be known locations. And then maybe like a patrol as a sibling state. I think this would actually be more of a child because you're going to go through each step, right? So you return to base, then you gather supplies, then you R&R, and then shoot back to the route, and then go through. Yeah. I could always turn it off or tweak how often it does it, but I like having it autosave a lot so that way I don't lose as much. No worries. Peace out, Zombot. All right, so then we got recon, going to known locations, going on patrol. What are some other options, right? So, I mean, I think that's the majority. And then hunt is going to be, we can always flesh these out with more options later, but hunt is going to be something along the lines of tracking. I don't want to say player because this might be used by allies as well. So tracking enemy. And then private child. So once you found an enemy, so you start tracking, you find an enemy, chase. So you're gonna chase down the enemy, and then you're gonna probably want a attacking stance. So attack. Now, of course, depending on what we end up deciding, it may be a little bit less clear cut later on. So there may be times when we're chasing the enemy that we're still firing at them, but I want to at least have it laid out roughly in this order. So let's see if this makes sense. So we come in, if we're on an escort mission or if we have some escortable ally, we go do that. We defend them until we arrive at that location. So I'll say arrive, I don't know if I can spell, arrive at destination, and that'll clear that. Add child state, so we're clearing the path, and then we'll need a state to return to ship. So this one might be one where we clear the path, we return the ship, which actually takes us back to defending ally, rather than back to route. So let me see here. Yeah, I'll worry about that later. So, but instead of going back to route, we're gonna go up to defending ally, and then not really. I mean, very occasionally, if there's something I want to like sort of Google, I use it like an advanced Google. But my thing is like, there's a lot of stuff that is very hyper specific to what I'm doing. That's not mostly useful. Like generative AI is a neat tool in my opinion, but it's not something that I find myself using very often. It tends to hallucinate or make up things, and it could be useful in this case, you know, for sort of like, hey, lay me out a bunch of different possible missions an AI might go on and what, you know, steps it might do in those missions. But I feel, for me at least, there's a bit of joy I get out of designing the actual gameplay and designing the loops here for the AI to do. But then again, I am a little different. I've got, I don't know if, let me see if I can bring it. I've got a bunch of research that I've been doing for my game. So like a lot of books. Like this one's actually Submarine Commander, and then I have the Royal Navy Jutland Pocket Manual for the Navy for the 19. What years again? It's 1916. The Royal Navy from 1916. Because for me, I get a lot of joy out of doing that research, out of coming up with these ideas from looking through all of these different books. It maybe isn't the fastest, but it brings me a lot of joy to do it. Thank you. All right, so let's see. So we escort, defending ally, arrive at destination. Boop, we return back to the route. If we're clearing the path, return to the ship. So that's going to take us back to defending ally. So it's going to keep us in the escort loop. If we go to resupply, we return to base, RTB, gather supplies, rest and recuperate, and then go back. If we're going on recon, we look for last known locations. If none are found, then we're going to go on patrol. So we'll have a patrol location set, and then if we are going on a hunt, we're going to try and track the enemy down, chase them down, and then attack them. There's probably some more we're going to need to add, like when the player triggers an alert things like that. But let's start with these, at least for a basic outline of what we want to do. And then let's take a look at what that's actually going to look like. So let's start off with our fleet commander. And then, oh yeah, that's right. This needs to be not a behavior tree. This needs to be a state tree. So let's remove that. State tree. This is just state tree component. And we'll call this fleet brain again. And then give it that state tree, which is our AI fleet controller. All right. So for now, that's not going to really do anything, but just as a placeholder. So this should run, and then we'll have some events we're going to trigger off based on, you know, what we're set up to do. So let's do a custom event. So these are going to one-time fire off, probably to all of our ships underneath us. So let's just start off with something simple. We'll do a patrol. Of course, I don't know why. I feel like I'm letting go of the shift at reasonable time, but it just keeps holding on. So we go on patrol. This will get triggered by the fleet commander, and this is going to say to all our ships, which can have their own individual ship brains for each loop. And for now, just as a placeholder, we're just going to tell them get component by class. Because in the final version, they're going to actually, like, you know, tell the brains, hey, here's your new setting. Here's where your patrol route is going. But for now, we'll just say here, set input for thrust just to go forward. Yeah. And then let's go ahead and do this. Oops. This above here. This here. All right. So we don't require event to enter. What we're going to do is, so this is going to be a task, I believe. So let's do, yeah, I have a few other ones. So we'll just create a task. Task. Trying to remember, it's been a little bit. Maybe under here, state tree. Yeah, here we go. State tree task base. And we'll just call this AI underscore patrol. And then, okay, so upon interstate, let's see. Not too worried about that. Yeah, current state or any of that. So we'll not do anything with that. Get. Trying to remember. Might have to look at some of my older code to refresh my memory. All right. No problem. Thank you. Thank you. You have a great day, man. Have a great holiday season. Good luck and good hunting. All right. So let's see here. Let's look at some of these older. Here we go. Yeah. let's look at like this patrol. Okay, so from the input, I'm just calling out to start patrol. Okay, cool. That's what I thought I was doing roughly, but let's see. Do I have context? Yes. So, can I call that context from within here? These are inputs. Let's see. Yeah, these are all deprecated, so we can ignore these. Yeah, no, that's very useful. So let's see. Peace out. Parameters, yes. Let's add a property. Do I want to do it? I think I want to do it higher up. And this will be a BP underscore base. Ship class, object reference. Actually, no. Oh, actually, delete. Yeah, because we have the actor context, right? So surely I should be able to get that in here. Actor context. Get context class. Yeah, these are camera things. If I run a patrol here, right? Oh, here we go. Ship, base ship AI. Expected to have binding. Oh, it's because it's patrol, not. Oh, yeah. So, replace with AI patrol. Yeah, there we go. We still want an input here. Oops. Add a variable. We'll call this fleet commander. Get a reference to that AI fleet commander. Then come back here, and then I think I can just refresh this, right? Or just, I guess, replace it with itself. Oh, because I don't have it set to. Yeah, I need to do this. Expose that. And that should. Yep, there we go. Okay. Promote to parameter. You see? There we go. Just set it to the actor. Perfect. Okay. So now we're passing in the fleet commander to the patrol command. And what that's going to do is we can then go from here and say get fleet. And then for each loop, call the patrol. What is the event called. Yeah, that's the wrong. Is that the wrong? No, that's our one. What am I thinking of? Oh, it's because I have it in here. What I want to do is, yeah, call against the fleet. So there's not actually patrol here. The patrol function is here. So that's our fleet. And then we would do exactly what we're doing here. Just swap this in. In actuality, these will just say to those ships, hey, do your patrol. So for now, this is our patrol. So we enter the state patrol. So go recon, which you should enter by default because there should be no enter conditions for now. So this will enter, and the weights are all the same. I don't know that matters. If they're all the same, probably just picks the first one, but we'll just set to higher weight just to make sure. So it'll enter this, and then that should trigger this to fire. Commander sequence, just to make sure the brain is running. Run status. Yeah, we can do is running. It should be. I think by default, right? There's a way to say start logic automatically. Okay, yeah. So if I wanted to turn that off, I could. But for now, it's on by default. So let's see. What does that look like? Okay. Nothing's happening. Let's look at our actual fleet controller here. If I do this, and then do, or sorry, this is the one I was looking at. Forget how to bring up the debugger screen for that. Let's see. For now, let's just trigger off. Just say print string. Enter patrol. See if that triggers. Yes. If I remember correctly, yeah, entering patrol. Okay. So this is triggered. This calls out to the fleet commander, which currently is set to none, but that would be set to the context actor class. Yeah, fleet commander. Let's come in here. Do I turn it over? Do I need to set this actor context? I don't think so, right? Yeah. I don't believe so. So, yeah, because it is triggering the AI patrol. It's coming in here. It looks like it's not seeing anything. I wonder if that's because it's triggering before the ship has spawned. So what if I turn that off and then go, once this is completed. Oh, you know what? I figured it out. It's not that. It's that I'm not adding them to an actual fleet. So get fleet, add unique, then add this ship. Then let's turn that back on automatic. And if that doesn't work, then we'll need trigger after, but it should work. Okay, does not. But that could just be as simple as needing to, heck, even adding a delay there probably would help. But let's go first here. Turn off the auto, and then say after it's completed, say start tree logic. That should mean that it shouldn't trigger initially, and then boom, enter patrol. Yeah, that works perfect. It's got to spawn them in first, which makes sense. All right, so that gets that started. Okay, so it's entering in the patrol. Yeah. All right, let's see here. I'm going to take a very brief break. I'll be back in a few. All right, let's see here. All right, so we can get into patrol. Worry about that stuff later. Sweet. So let's actually add our target indicator. Oh, missed. I'm shocked. Normally they're pretty good about hitting a target. Probably because of the constant acceleration. They aren't quite as good at keeping up with constant acceleration. Alright. So let's look at that widget. Easier if I went here. Ship card, here we go. Wish I could see it here. But oh well. There we go. Oh yeah, because some miscellaneous. Alright. So, target indicator. Question is how do I want to do this? Trying to think of the best way to do this. Probably have a trigger. Custom event is target, and then we'll just have a boolean for if they are not, and we'll either show or hide this based on, I guess, yeah. I don't know what gets passed in is target. Reach. This target is true. And if false, then collapsed. No. And then the player, we tell them that they're our target. Believe at the moment we don't actually trigger anything. That's easy enough to do though. So, controls, mark target, hit actor, try set. Alright. So when we have target locked, then we'll just do this. So we'll have our BPI. Do we have one that we can use already? I'm gonna message. Could do the refresh UI one. Oh, so target marking send is target. Okay, yeah, that actually would work. So we send them the is target, and then on the base ship class, that means we just need to have the BPI of send. What's this called? Is target. What's it? What's this one? Target marking. Oh. Target marking. So this would be send this target. So if it receives the is the target, I can send this target. Where do we use that other than this spot? Is there anywhere we use that? Let's go find reference. Target marking. So we just go search in our main target marking. Send as target. Let's look. Do we use this anywhere else? Reference viewer. It's used in the old AI, which we don't care about. Yep, old AI. And then the new one, which we just added to, and the old player. Oh, sweet. Perfect. So then I can update it. So send is target, and the input will be is target. And then what we want to do is we want to first go let's see here. So here we're moving target locked. If found target is false. Well, that's if we're clicking on something that we don't want to target. Or I guess we can't target. Fatal reward. Probably want to first do the old target, right? And that's the problem. So what we want to do is if target, do a validated get. So if this is not valid, we just carry on and we don't care. But if it is valid, first we want to say, hey, you are no longer our target. And then we want to go, this new one is now our target. Oh, yeah, the new target is now our target. Base class, send is target. And then from here, we'll just trigger in our ship card, get widget. Cast to ship card. The latest one we're using. Yeah, ship data card. Convert that to a PRCast. We know that that will be correct. And say target is target, and then just pass in is target. That should mean if we don't have a target, that we can lock target. Let's also first stop that. Patrol. And we'll also set an additional ship up. That way we can see it flying, or not flying, see it and mark it. Set up another brigantine. Alright, let's see. There we go. Alright, so target 1, target 2, target 1. Perfect. It's a little hard to see. Oh, but yeah. So now we know who we're targeting. Alright. Sweet. So that now lets us target the ship and mark it. Let's see here. Yeah. All right, cool. Well, I think that's it for now. I'm probably going to take a break, go do some more writing, but thank y'all for being here. Good luck and good hunting.